What I'm about to reveal is something the expat community in the Philippines goes to great lengths to keep under wraps. It involves tens of thousands of foreign men, Filipino domestic workers, and situations far more complex than most people realize. The accounts you're about to hear come from real individuals who contacted us anonymously. Names have been changed and images have been generated to help tell the story. But these confessions are 100% genuine. What they expose is truly shocking. 2 weeks ago, a Reddit post went viral within the expat community, stirring widespread alarm. Its title read, "I think I ruined my maid's life and I don't know what to do." The post received over 2,000 comments before it was mysteriously deleted, but we saved a copy. Here's what it said. "I'm a 58-year-old American living in Davao. I hired Maria, not her real name, 6 months ago. She's 24, has a 3-year-old daughter, and desperately needed the job. At first, everything was professional, 12,000 pesos a month, room and board included, and healthcare covered. A standard arrangement. But living in the same house complicated things quickly. She began doing small things, bringing me coffee in bed, asking about my day, watching Netflix with me after work. Then one night, she asked if I was lonely. I said yes. She said she was too. What happened next changed everything." The post ended there, but the comments section told the full story. Now, consider these numbers. There are over 300,000 registered foreign residents in the Philippines, not counting long-term tourists. The domestic helper industry employs 2.2 million Filipinos. In expat-heavy areas like BGC, Makati, and Cebu City, over 60% of foreign households have live-in help. What the Philippine Statistics Authority doesn't track, and what no government agency seems willing to acknowledge, are the relationships that cross professional boundaries. Anonymous surveys from expat Facebook groups suggest that inappropriate relationships between foreign employers and Filipino domestic workers occur in roughly 1 in every 4 households. That's not speculation. It comes from over 5,000 anonymous responses. And even these figures may be on the low side. One post in a private Facebook group read, "My yaya asked if I wanted the girlfriend experience for an extra 8,000 pesos a month. Guys, what would you do?" The thread exploded with reactions. One comment said, "Bro, that's the Philippines for you. Just make sure you're both adults and consenting. These girls know what they're doing." Another wrote, "My helper's been with me 2 years. We're basically married now, just not legally. Best relationship I've ever had." But then came the darker responses. Started as just cleaning and cooking. Now she does everything, if you know what I mean. 15,000 pesos a month. Cheapest girlfriend I've ever had. A reply quickly shot back. "Dude, that's not a girlfriend. That's just complicated." The thread reached over 200 comments before being deleted, but by then, the damage was done. The conversation had started. Just last week, we received a detailed email from someone who called himself the businessman. He agreed to share his story under one condition: complete anonymity. "I moved to Manila in 2019 for work. Big tech company, good salary, nice condo in BGC. I hired Althea through an agency, 28 years old, college graduate, fluent in English. Her salary was 18,000 pesos a month, above average because of her qualifications. For the first year, everything was strictly professional. She was efficient, respectful, and private. But when COVID hit, everything changed. Suddenly, we were stuck together in the same condo 24/7. She couldn't return to her province. I couldn't travel for work. We started having long conversations. I learned about her dreams, her family's struggles, and the debt her ex-boyfriend left behind. One night, she broke down crying, afraid she'd lose her job when the pandemic ended. I told her she was safe, that I'd take care of her. She looked at me and said, "How can I make sure you'll keep me?" I knew what she was asking, and God help me, I didn't say no. Years later, she's still here. We have a daughter now. But I don't know if what we have is love or just a very complicated business arrangement. The worst part is I'm not alone. Half the guys in my expat circle have similar stories. We just don't talk about it openly. When we brought this topic to social media, the response was explosive. The comments section became a battlefield. One side argued, "This is exploitation, plain and simple. These women are vulnerable and foreign men are taking advantage." The other side pushed back, "These are consenting adults making their own choices. In fact, many women initiate these arrangements. Who are we to judge?" But then came an unexpected perspective. We reached out to a Filipino women's rights advocate who asked to remain anonymous. Her response was surprising. The Western feminist lens doesn't always apply here. These women aren't simply victims, they're strategists. Many see foreign men as their ticket to a better life, not just for themselves, but for their entire families. They're making calculated choices. The real issue isn't whether it's exploitation, it's whether we're comfortable with the economic realities that make these choices so attractive in the first place. And then, through a trusted contact, we spoke with someone on the other side of the equation. A domestic worker who had lived through one of these arrangements. She asked us to call her Anna. "I worked for Mr. Johnson for 3 years. American, maybe 50 years old, divorced, a nice man, very generous. At first, it was just regular work. Clean the house, cook the food, do the laundry. 14,000 pesos a month, good money for me. But I could see he was lonely. His wife had left him. His kids were back in the States. Every night, it was just him, a few beers and the television. I felt sorry for him. And honestly, I was thinking about my own future too. So I started joining him for dinner, watching movies together, talking. He was kind to me, treated me like a person, not just a helper. One night, he asked if I wanted to visit his room. I said yes. Some people will say he took advantage of me, but that's not true. I made that choice. For 2 years, we lived like a couple. He gave me extra money, bought me nice things, even sent money to my family in Mindanao. But I always knew it wasn't real love. For him, I was convenient. For me, he was security. When he got a girlfriend, a foreign woman from his own country, he ended things immediately. He gave me 50,000 pesos in severance pay and even helped me find another job. Was I hurt? Yes. Was I surprised? Number. I used that money to start a small business. Now I have my own life, my own choices. Some would say he used me, but I used him too. Before we continue, I want to ask for a small favor. If you're getting value from this video, please consider hitting that like button. It really helps more than you know, and I appreciate every single one. Thank you. But not all of these stories end neatly. Some take a much darker turn. Case 1. An American expat in Bohol was accused of sexual harassment by his former maid after he refused to continue their arrangement. The case is still in court, and his reputation in the expat community is destroyed. Case 2. A British retiree in Dumaguete got his 22-year-old helper pregnant. When she asked him to marry her, he disappeared, back to the UK. She's now raising the child alone. Case 3. A German businessman discovered his live-in helper had been secretly recording their intimate moments, allegedly planning to use the footage for blackmail. These aren't isolated incidents. Our research uncovered dozens of similar cases that never made the news. And here's the disturbing truth. For every story that surfaces publicly, there are likely 10 more that remain hidden. Why? Because of the power imbalance. When things go wrong, it's usually the Filipino worker who suffers in silence. To understand why these arrangements happen, you have to look at the economics. The average domestic helper in the Philippines earns between 5,000 and 15,000 pesos a month. That's about $90 to $270. Compare that to the average expat income, anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 a month. 1 month of an expat salary equals an entire year of a helper's wages. But here's what makes it even more complicated, that 15,000 pesos often supports not just the worker, but an entire extended family: parents, siblings, children, sometimes even grandchildren. So when an expat offers bonuses for extra services, it's not just pocket money. It can mean sending a sibling to college, paying a parent's hospital bills, or buying a small piece of land for the family. Suddenly, the decision isn't simple at all. Our final anonymous confession comes from someone who says he carries deep regret. He calls himself the regretful expat. I've been living in the Philippines for 8 years, retired here after my divorce, thought I'd found paradise. In that time, I've had 4 different maids. With 3 of them, things turned intimate. At the time, I told myself it was mutual. They were adults, they made their choices, everyone was happy. But looking back now, I see what really happened. I was a lonely old man with money. They were young women with families to feed. The power imbalance was so extreme that consent became a meaningless word. The worst part is how it affected them. The first girl, Jenny, she fell in love with me, really fell in love. When I ended things, she was devastated, couldn't work for weeks. The second one, Rose, became pregnant. I paid for the abortion, but I could see how much it broke her emotionally. The third one, she just disappeared, packed her things while I was out and vanished. I never saw her again. Looking back, I realize what I did. I used my money, my position, to get what I wanted from women who felt they had no choice but to give it. That's not romance. That's not even a fair transaction. It's something much uglier. The regretful expat continues. I still live here. I still have a maid, but now I keep everything strictly professional. The damage, though, it's done. To them, to me, to how I see myself. I wish someone had made a video like this years ago. Maybe it would have made me think twice. These personal confessions point to larger systemic issues that few are willing to talk about. Issue 1. The domestic helper industry in the Philippines lacks comprehensive regulation. Most arrangements happen informally, with little oversight. Issue 2. Economic inequality pushes women into survival strategies where intimacy becomes part of the bargain. Issue 3. The expat community often operates in its own bubble, with its own rules and pressures. Issue 4. Cultural differences blur the lines around consent, power and relationships, creating grey areas that benefit no one. But here's what makes it even more complicated. This isn't just a Philippine issue. Similar dynamics exist in Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and dozens of other countries where foreign retirement communities meet deep economic inequality. The Philippines is simply the most documented case. So after hearing all these stories, we're left with difficult questions. Can these relationships ever be truly consensual when the power imbalance is so massive? Are the women victims, or are they making strategic choices within limited options? Should expats bear responsibility for the conditions that make these arrangements possible? And most importantly, does awareness of the problem create an obligation to act? The truth is, there are no simple answers to complex human problems. But what we can do is acknowledge they exist, understand the forces behind them, and have honest conversations about the ethics involved. If this video has made you uncomfortable, good, it should. Whether you're an expat living abroad, someone considering retirement overseas, or simply trying to understand global dynamics, these stories matter. They reveal uncomfortable truths about power, money, survival, and human connection in today's interconnected world. So here's what I want you to do. First, if you found this content eye-opening, hit that like button and subscribe. Second, share your thoughts in the comments, but keep it respectful. These are real lives we're talking about. Third, if you have your own anonymous story, whether you're an expat, a domestic worker, or just someone who has witnessed these dynamics, reach out. Your story could help others understand. And finally, share this video. Not because it's entertaining, but because these conversations need to happen. The only way to deal with complex problems is to first admit they exist. The truth isn't always comfortable, but it's always necessary. Thanks for watching, and remember, behind every statistic is a human story.